Today on Portland Tea Party, all of my opinions about voting. Let's get started. Welcome to Portland Tea Party. I am your host, Ciara Pressler, and this is your favorite show about Portland, the tea, and where the party's at. My Portlanders, we are in a wealthy moment of tea. There is tea flying back and forth. We're at a tea spilling bonanza. And we're going to get to that tea in our second segment. But man, it's going to be like this for the next several weeks. We are in like one of the biggest elections of our lives on a federal level, state level, local level, county level. And we're just going to see surprise after surprise, tea after tea, fuckery after fuckery. And I'm going to be here to talk about it with you. This is not news. This is opinion. This is not news. This is a talk show. This is also not a podcast. A lot of people I talk to call it my podcast. And I'm like, if you go to Spotify or if you go to Apple Podcasts, you won't find this. We're on YouTube. It's a talk show. Get it together. I'm also starting to think about like, what do we do with this show after the election or after this year? Because it really was just going to be a project for this year, but I'm having fun. There's so many people I haven't had the chance to interview yet. So if you have ideas for how we can adapt this show to make it relevant or fun, really it's more about fun, then please let us know at Portland Tea Party or live at portlandteaparty.com is our email address. All right, our topic for today is voting. And we are live here from my house because it has been such a busy month that I could not get it together with a guest today or a location. But that's okay because this is really like, if you get nothing else from this entire series, this is what I really care about that you understand. You are political. When I am swiping on my dating app and guys have apolitical in their profile, I'm like, get out of here. Automatic swipe left. There's no such thing as apolitical. Choosing not to participate is still a political choice. Not being registered to vote is political because everything that you are inside politics right now, everything that happens in your life is on some level political. If you are driving down the street today and you go over a speed bump or a pothole, that is political because guess what funds our roads? Our taxes. If you pay taxes, that's political because guess who decides on our taxes? The people we elect. If you have children, are you kidding me? Schools, if you don't want children, the ability to make that decision and protect your reproductive rights, political. If you want freedom of speech, freedom of we take it for granted because in the United States of America, we have this very interesting political experiment of democracy-ish. And, it's easy to take all of that for granted, our safety and our relative security to the rest of the world. But as I always say, you can't complain if you're not going to do anything about it. Now, of course, there are more important things to do than others. Some things make us feel like we're getting something done, but are we really? When we post on social media, are we really affecting change? Even doing this show, am I really affecting change? I mean, a little bit because I'm going to influence you on who to vote for, so my vote multiplies. But, even going, I'm here for a march. I am here for a protest. But contacting my local official or deciding whether they're going to stay in a job in the next election on some level is more effective than going out in the street, even though I feel like I'm putting in more effort. And doing the things that are really effective are often less effort and very easy. So the number one thing you have to do is register to vote. Oh, it's so hard. I don't know. Listen, if you have time to watch 4 episodes of Chimp Crazy, you have time to register to vote. Now, I am already registered to vote, but I'm going to show you that it's easy to do. I don't remember when or how I did it, but look, I have a phone. Do you have a phone? You do have a phone. Okay, now go to your browser. I was just shopping for cool nails. All right, now we're going to just type in how to register to vote in Oregon. Oh my goodness, there are Google results on this. Now, I am not going to click the first answer because it's from Democracy Works, and I just want to go straight to the government, right? I want to go straight to the source. They're the ones who register me. So I scroll down just a little bit, and I see a .gov website. So I want to make sure I'm going to the proper website first. So, Secretary of State. That is who is in charge of voting, if you didn't know. So Oregon Secretary of State site, I'm going to click on that. Oh no, it's a government website. It's going to be so hard to... No, it's not. Look, it's not hard. Look, I can even pick a different language. Now I'm going to just scroll down and there's a big blue button. If you're doing this on your laptop, guess what? It's even easier to see the button because you don't have to scroll. So I just clicked on register to vote now. It says language. I have another chance to change my language. Look at that. Am I a citizen of the United States? You know the answer to that if you're a citizen or not. That was easy. I'm going to put yes. Are you at least 16 years of age? Well, I know my age, so that is easy. Yes. All right. It is a felony to provide false information. So go back, and if you lied, change it to the truth. Wow, this is easy so far. Continue. All right, so now I have to put my Oregon DMV number. Well, I don't know that by heart, so I could either look at my driver's license. Actually, I do know that by heart. I could do my driver's license. Oh, but look, you can check a box that says, I do not have an Oregon DMV number. So you don't have to have one to register. Then I put my first name, my last name, still answers I know, and my date of birth, month, day, year. And then am I a robot? Define robot. And then I'm going to click that I'm not a robot, and then I'm going to continue. Now, I'm not going to fill that out, but my point is that it is not difficult. It does not take a lot of time. And you can watch Chimp Crazy while you're doing it. I promise you will not miss any nuances of the show. All right, so now you are registered to vote, and there's only a little bit of time left to do this before the election, which is on November 5th this year. The election, the main election, or what we call the general election, is always the first Tuesday in November. All right, so you don't have to be like, oh, I don't know when to... It's always the first Tuesday in November. You remember when Thanksgiving is, right? It's the last Thursday in November. So yeah, the date changes each year, but it's consistent. It's the first Tuesday in November. Oh, I think there is an exception. If November 1st falls on a Tuesday, it's actually November 8th. And the way you can easily remember that is that my birthday is November 1st, and we don't want to have two holidays on the same day. So first Tuesday in November up to the 8th. Okay, so now that we have that done, we want to game the system a little bit because we want our votes to matter. And the smaller the election, the more our vote matters, right? Federal election, president, I'm going to vote for president because I care about that. But really, I mean, if you didn't vote for president, Oregon's electors are still going to go blue. I mean, Oregon's a blue state. So, I think it still matters to get those numbers in the popular vote because that guides a lot of things. And I don't know the intricacies of that, but yeah, of course, I'm going to fill out my whole ballot. But it just matters less. It's a drop in a pool versus being a drop in a bucket or a glass, right? In places like Oregon, like Portland, where there can be closed primaries. So the primary election is when we choose the candidate for our party. So if I am a Democrat in a closed election, and our primary elections are usually in May, I can only vote for Democrats. So let's say there's 5 Democrats who want to be a governor. In the primary, as a Democrat, I get to choose which Democrat I think should be the Democratic nominee for governor. And then in the general election in November, we choose between just each party's candidate. So what does that tell you when you live in a very blue area and the Democrat always wins? When's the last time we had a governor who wasn't a Democrat? When's the last time we had a mayor? I mean, I don't think we do parties so much locally, but my point is, if you want to vote in the election that makes a difference, that actually chooses the candidate, then register as a Democrat. I know ideologically no party's perfect, so I'm going to be an independent because I'm so you know what? You get less influence. Your vote gets less influence. So you can spiritually be whatever you want. But to play the game and to win the game, I highly recommend that you register as a Democrat if you are in Portland. Okay? And that goes for other cities as well. I mean, I started preaching this when I lived in New York City because they also at the time had this closed form of primary elections. Not necessarily for every role, but it's a way to game the system. Okay, let's get federal election out of the way. It's September 27th as I'm recording this. Even though Kamala has not been in the race for a long time, it is very clear what the differences are between Kamala and Trump. I am so tired of undecided voters, this teeny tiny sliver of the population, holding the rest of us hostage with their laziness and indecision. There is no reason to be undecided at this point. You have all the information that you need. Now, I did hear a very interesting interview with an undecided voter. She wasn't undecided. She was having an existential crisis, having had an identity her whole life as a conservative, having had an identity her whole life as a Republican. All right? But she wanted, in her heart, to vote for Kamala Harris. So her conflict wasn't that she didn't know who she wanted to vote for. Her conflict was her identity, which, listen, you get to choose what you believe in and vote accordingly. You don't have to always vote with your party in the general election. If you really think the other party's candidate is better, you should absolutely vote for that person. But to say you're undecided when you're just conflicted is a different thing. There is plenty of information to make your decision right now. So we're not even going to talk about that anymore, except when things happen and it's kind of a tea moment. Okay, one more thing. Probably there's more things than one, but the other thing I want to emphasize here is that voting isn't like this big chore for you to do, because guess what? In most places, in most states, if it is that 1 second Tuesday, which I'm definitely working on that day, and I have to go in person to go vote somewhere, it's going to be near my house, so that's good. But I have to go to a place. I have to stand in line. I don't know how long that line's going to be, although I will tell you, if you don't go before work and then you go after work, do not complain about waiting in a long line if you show up at 8 p.m. and the polls close at 9 p.m. Because let me tell you, that line might be around the block. Whereas if you go early, it's always shorter in my experience. So then you get an I voted sticker, which is the best part. It feels kind of patriotic, and that's cool. I really like voting in person. But hey, a lot of us are busy, or maybe you're out of town that day. First of all, if you're not going to be in town, you can be an absentee voter. You can even live in another country and still vote. So no excuses there. But in Oregon, we have it easier than any other place that I know of, because you can sit on your ass on your sofa. Oh, I guess this is the perfect location for today's episode. And you can vote right here. And I'm going to do that with you this year. We're going to have a special episode where I go through the whole voter guide and explain what I can deduce from what people put in it. But every candidate has the opportunity to put their bio, their endorsements, what they have to say in the same amount of space. It's extremely fair. So you don't even have to go do separate research, although you're welcome to. Most of them have websites. Most of them have social media. There's plenty of information out there. So it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that maybe you haven't gone to seek it out. But you can wait until that voter's guide comes in the mail to your house. Okay? Then they send the ballot to your house too. You do not have to leave your home to vote in Oregon. You can just fill it out at home, which also means you can take as long as you want to. You can talk about it with your family. These are not things that happen if you go vote in person, right? In another state. People are waiting in line behind you. There's only so much time. The voting machine can be a little intimidating sometimes, depending, they all can be a little bit different. In all you do is you fill out a little bubble. All right. So you can sit at home, you can be watching your favorite reality show, and you could even be voting at the same time. You could put on a voting soundtrack. You can eat snacks while you vote. You can invite your friends over. No one else has to see what you're voting, right? Your vote is private. No one else can know who you voted for unless you tell them. So if you're conflicted because your identity doesn't know, guess what? Your loved ones or the people who you care about your identity with, they're not going to know who you voted for. You can tell them you voted for somebody different than you actually did if you want. All right. My point is you get more time, you get more information just sent to you without you having to do anything other than register. And then you can put it right outside for your mail carrier to take. You can also go drop it at, a voting box. There's official voting boxes, also very easy to find. Where is a voting box in my area? There's this website called Google that has answers to things. So the reason I'm being a little snarky and condescending is because there really is no excuse not to vote. And if you're not voting and you think you're apolitical, guys on Bumble, I'm here to tell you that you're not. So I want all of you to vote. Register today if you're not registered. If you're not sure, am I registered to vote in Oregon? Again, Google is a great tool for these things. If you prefer a different search engine, by all means. You can also call. I'm sure there's an email address too. You could probably go somewhere in person. Are you registered to vote? If not, you register right now before it's too late. And then you have, I think, at least 2 weeks at home with your ballot, with your voter guide. And it's going to be oh so easy and, dare I say, fun. I'll try to make it fun. I'll bring the disco ball. You know what's up. You know how I roll. All right. When we're back, we can't help but drink a little tea. I hope you realize, of course, while Portland has some great tea brands, it's a coffee town, and there's never actually tea in my cup. So look, already I'm doing what I told you about voting. Oh yeah, this is tea. It's actually coffee. But no one has to know what's in my cup, just like no one has to know what's on your ballot. But I'll tell people what's on I send my friends pictures of my ballot. They're just like, who should I vote for? Absolutely. So much tea flying around. So, of course, we have the mayoral race in Portland, most watched. A lot of people are not that excited about any one candidate. A lot of people already know who they're voting for. You don't necessarily have to be excited about somebody to vote for them. What I want you to do is vote for the person who you think will do the best job of the role you're voting for. So who cares whether you like them? You probably like the person who's going to do the best job, but that's the most important thing, right? Well, now everyone's got parking tickets. Not everyone, but of course there's been big news lately about Rubio and Gonzalez and like traffic so that is affecting some people's votes, and some people are withdrawing endorsements, some organizations, because they don't like this whole traffic situation. They think it shows irresponsibility or disrespect of the system, and I think that's a valid point. I personally am going to vote based on the work I've seen people do. The same way I hire, when I'm hiring somebody, I'm going to look at their resume. Did they actually get stuff done? Who are their references? And so that's how I like to vote. But I think the single most important thing that the mayor is going to do is to appoint the city administrator. So as I've told you many times, Portland has a whole new form of government that's coming into place and super official. in the new year, 2025. And the mayor is going to be what's called a weak mayor. So they're going to have less power than the mayor currently does. But the person who's like basically the like CEO or COO, chief operating officer of the city, is the city administrator. And that person is going to run all the bureaus, all the services that we get through the city. And they're going to be hiring, they're going to be firing. I mean, of course, there's checks and balances, but that is the person that I care most about. And we don't elect that person. The mayor decides on that person, and city council does have to approve or can veto, I believe. I will double check this. But that is the person who's going to be really pivotal for the success of our new city structure. And so I'm going to pick the person who I think will pick the best city administrator. None of them are talking about how they're going to choose. At least I haven't heard it. And so that's what I'm really watching for. And I'm also going to choose based on who I think is going to be most effective and work with the city council. Because if we just start out all disagreeing, I don't think so. Okay, more city tea, not our city, but New York City. Mayor Eric Adams indicted on all these counts. Y'all, do we really think? Okay, I feel he should resign. A lot of people are calling for his resignation, but this is scandalous for a mayor taking foreign contributions, just messing with the public funding. You know, these candidates in New York, here in Portland, they get matching funds from the government. Your taxes that you paid, your money that goes back to the government, these candidates get matching funds based on their donations. So if they're getting illegal donations and then they're getting money back from the government, how are we feeling about that? Not so great. So these are really serious charges to watch. And, you know, one of my complaints about Portland is we don't have enough journalists that can do a bunch of investigative journalism. So sometimes I hear rumors of fuckery around town, but they never hit the news. And I'm not saying the journalists don't know about it, but maybe they don't have the resources to really verify and research and do long-term investigations. We have excellent journalists here in Portland. I just don't think there's enough of them. And they're not working with enough resources or enough time or whatever it takes to always report on some of the things that I personally care about. And I think everybody else should care about. I think it's extremely pertinent to how our politicians are acting. Now, the ability to run for office has been closed. So if you're still on the fence, undecided about whether to run for, say, city council, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait for the next cycle, which I think is in 2 years. I think some of the people who are going to be put onto city council are new city council that goes from 5 commissioners to 12 city councilors. I think some people will initially have 2 years and some will have 4 so that it can leapfrog a little bit and we're not replacing the entire council at once in 4 years. So you still can run someday, but you can't run this year if you're not already like formally in. So you can start researching the people in your district, but we've got like 20 more people per district. So I'm going to wait until everything that is going to happen has happened. I'm going to wait till like, a week or 2 before that election deadline for those of us who vote at home. And I'm going to make my decisions then. But I have a pretty good idea of who I'm going to vote for in my district, which is District 2, based on some people I knew of before, but also how they're running their campaigns. I think some people are running really lovely campaigns and some people are not. And some people I know personally. And so, I have other estimations, and some people my friends know personally, and I know some other stuff. This is not a super gossip show. I can't for my own professional health say some of the things I know, and it just drives me crazy, but I'll try to point you in the right direction with integrity whenever I can. All right. There's so much more tea than even this, but we have to get to the party. All right, Portlanders, like I said, I did not have a lot of extra time for planning this week, but I want to tell you I'm looking here at the Travel Portland local events page. They also have a newsletter now. I'm really enjoying this, and I have been able to meet some of that content team at Travel Portland, and they're just fantastic people, and they are so passionate, and they just love Portland. So I really love to see what they've picked any given week. Of course, other great places to find out about events: Willamette Week, the classic apex predator of events, PDX Pipeline, Portland Mercury, and other sites as well. We have the Built Festival. This is a great way to support local business, local emerging business. We love the Built Festival. We love Built Oregon. That's happening from September 27th today through October 4th. So you can see who the up-and-comer Oregon Shark Tank style brands are, and that Built focuses on products. And so you can go shop, you can go learn, you can go meet and encourage people who are maybe the big brands of Portland coming up in the years to come. Portland Retro Gaming Expo. How fun is that? Classic video games, arcade games. You got to check that out. Convention Center. This is a big scale event. So definitely check that out. That is happening this weekend. We also have the corn maze at the pumpkin patch, Sovey Island, and other places throughout our beautiful region. We are so lucky to live in an agricultural fantasia here in Oregon, and pumpkin patches are here, there, and everywhere. My siblings and I, our families, we all go to the pumpkin patch every year, and it is a lovely, good time. And so make sure you know when you're going to go. Try to work around that traffic, go early or go late, and enjoy all the delights of the pumpkin patch. It's not even about the pumpkins for me. It's about this corn maze. It's about apple cider donuts, apple cider. You know, there's some really like high level pumpkin patches around, and we want to see what's going on. There's also this weekend a fresh hop festival, an elevated beer experience. So if you're not into a lowbrow beer experience and you only do elevated beer, which when I drank beer, I was into elevated beer because I thought, anyway, we won't get into that. So if you are all about an elevated beer experience, that, and you know, my favorite ongoing event that anytime I have visitors to Portland, it's got to be Darcel XV. Darcel 15 is the place to be, our absolute gem of a drag club. If you've never been to Darcel's and you call yourself a Portlander, shame on you. Get to Darcel's, and I have some major tea. Next Saturday night, October 5th, we are going to be filming live at Darcel's, not Portland Tea Party, but a documentary I am very honored to be involved with. That is filming at Darcel's and telling the story of the amazing queens who have been making Portland vibrant for so many years. All right, Portlanders, thank you for listening to my voting rant. You know what to do. If you haven't already, run to your Oregon.gov Secretary of State website to register to vote. Please do that. And in just a few weeks, I'm going to do a live episode voting alongside you. Thank you so much and have an amazing weekend. This is not a podcast. It's not a podcast. And yes, I improvised that whole